Hello, and welcome back to No One Is Coming. The answer is you. Today, I want to talk about something that I've been researching and exploring. And you know how the saying goes, it says, if you want to learn something, teach it. Well, I'm not presuming to be a teacher on this, but I do want to dive into the subjects of authenticity because I'm realizing the depth and value that authenticity has in our success in everyday life and of course in business. So curious to see how this comes across and what comes about. With that being said, let's dive in. In a world where we often find ourselves waiting for someone to come and save us, it's time to embrace one powerful truth. I hate to tell you this, but no one is coming. The answer is you. Welcome to the podcast that empowers you to take charge of your life and unleash your true potential. I'm your host, Ofri Fuchs, and I'm thrilled to embark on this transformative journey with you. So, if you're ready to embark on a journey full of self-discovery, growth, and actually take responsibility for your life, then you're in the right place, and I'm so glad you're here. Now let's rock and roll. So hello, and welcome back to No One Is Coming. The answer is you. I'm your host, Ofri Fuchs. I'm a transformational life and business coach. I am a powerful presence coach, and I am part of the Being movement. And today I want to speak to you about authenticity. It is something that I'm actually creating and researching for my new online course that's designed to be all about powerful presence for women in business, although men can use it too. I'm not discriminating anyone. But the idea behind powerful presence, researching it, understanding that this is what I want to talk about, like this is my mission, this is what I'm excited about, came because of what I found throughout my life to be the gap between the way I looked and was portrayed on the external versus what I was feeling on the inside. And I found that a lot of people in business and women in business specifically have this imposter syndrome, and men do too. I'm not, again, discriminating, but I want to talk, and this is not a podcast for women at all, but I want to talk about this coming from a woman's perspective, and sometimes the access that we as women have to our emotions and our insecurities. Men sometimes tend to bottle it up or cover it or be extroverts in order to cover what they're truly feeling. So I want to put it all out there for you today to discuss it, to look at it. Because when we look at authenticity, we have to research and understand what is authenticity. And I'm basing this specific podcast a lot on Amy Cuddy's book, Presence, and which really had a great impact on me with building the course, as well as just the way I look at presence and authenticity and powerful presence. And she really, it really made a lot of sense to me, what she was saying with regards to what I always believed. And she's basing her book and her theories on research. So that was nice for me to understand, oh, cool, there's actually science that is backing up my ideas that were all intuitive. And the reason I want to talk about authenticity is because I'm realizing how much authenticity is just a core value that we subconsciously follow. Sometimes when we are really impressed by someone's ideas, their sales pitch, their job interview, but once they leave the room, we're like, I don't know, something about this person doesn't feel right. And some people, whether it's leaders, job seekers, people that are in business, they will push that aside and they will not focus on this gut feeling where something doesn't feel right. Sometimes when you have that gut instinct where that person doesn't feel right, something doesn't feel right, it's actually because they weren't authentic. And that's a sign for you. If you're interviewing someone who's not authentic, if you are wanting to do business with someone who's not authentic, then that will have a repercussion down the line. That will have an impact. That will have a result that will show up down the line once you start doing business with them. So I want to focus on what is authenticity today and how. There's always a what, there's always a how. How can we dive into our authenticity and what the value is to being authentic in life? So let's pedal back a little bit and understanding what is authenticity. So based on Amy Cuddy's book, which I found really fascinating, she says there's multiple authenticities. So we can be authentic in the way we parent. We can be authentic in our personal, intimate relationship. We can be authentic in the job force, in business. So we have multiple authenticities. And basically, authenticity is about being yourself. So I may have a certain set of ground rules or the way I view parenting that is different from business. I don't have to be the same exact person in every circumstance in my life. I'm different when I'm a sister. I'm different when I'm a spouse. I'm different when I'm a daughter, and I'm different in business, of course. So it's okay, because I found in the past, I was like, this is not me. Where is the one me? There is no one you. There are multiple authenticities. So if you're having these doubts, self-doubts, where I'm like, I feel like I'm different in my workforce. Of course you're different. Again, Amy, in her book, she talks about actors. And actors, when they're acting, when they're portraying a character, it's not them. But we look at them and they're like, oh, he was really authentic. How does that work? They're actually playing a part. They're actually playing a role that is not them, but we find them as authentic. So how does that work? It's because they were naturally themselves within the role that they're portraying. The same goes for you. When you're naturally in yourself, when you're not worried, and this is where the inauthenticity comes through, when you're not worried about what you look like, what you think, are you doing a good job, will they like you, and you're just being you with your core values, and we'll get to that in a second, then that comes across as authenticity. So I hope that kind of sets the ground for what is being authentically present, because that is the link between you and success. Being authentically present is what will connect between you and, hitting on that girl, getting that job interview, creating that merger, whatever it is that you want to create. And the more we understand about how authenticity builds your confidence level, that will allow you to express yourself more powerfully, authentically. All right. So if we look back at Amy Cuddy's definition of authenticity, what was interesting is that Amy Cuddy realized that not only are there multiple personalities or multiple authenticities, not multiple personalities, that's a different topic, but the authenticity is directly correlated. It goes side by side with your core values. And how does that work? All right, so bear with me. Once you have your core values in place, so you know who you are, you know what's important for you. So let's say you really value your family. You really value quality time. You really, in nature, you really value professionalism. You are very thorough. Once you know what your personal positive traits are, I'm really good with people. I'm good at breaking the ice. I am meticulous. I get my job done on time. So once you know what your positive traits are and what your core values are, then you know who you are. And once you have that in place, for some magical reason, when you walk into that boardroom, when you walk into that merger meeting, when you walk into that job interview, you feel naturally comfortable, authentic, and confident. And that comes across as authentic. Because it's not about putting all that pressure about whether or not I'm good, because I'm a good family person. I'm good with my children. I'm good with assignments that I have. I've had this, that, or the other. So I know who I am. I know what my core values are. I know what my good traits are. And then I come into this meeting and I don't have so much at stake here. You see how that works? And that was proven by research that people that before they went into this big stressful situation, I think it was like college exams or something, they sat with themselves and reminded themselves of who they are, what they value, and then they went into the presentation or the exam, and it wasn't about telling themselves, "Oh, I'm really good at presenting. Oh, I'm really good at this job," or I'm really, they would love to have me. It wasn't about the specific mission at hand. It was something completely different, and yet that came across as someone being attractive. It's someone that has their own center. So they connected to themselves deeply, to their true selves, and that came across. So that was interesting for me to hear and to realize. Now, we have to understand that being authentic is not a passive state. You can't just say, I know who I am. It's a practice that you cultivate. It's a practice that, especially under pressure, like I said in the research, you have to go back to it every single time and remind yourself of who you are, what your core values are, and so that you can actually go and make an impression. So if you ever had this situation where you were under pressure to do well, whether it's an exam. I remember when I was, I'll tell you a little story about my experience with authenticity. When I was auditioning for my acting studio, Nisan Nativ in Tel Aviv, the auditions there were 5 stages, and there were like about 1,000 people auditioning. So 1,000, they were usually kids under the age of 25. We were all auditioning for landing, like getting into the school. It was like 15 people that could have gone in. And I came not believing, this is going to be completely on the opposite of affirmations and positive self-talk, but I came thinking, I don't have a chance. Like, I'm not going to make it. There's 1,000 people, only 15 get in. I'm not going to make it. But I had this teacher that really believed in me. He said, you should go. So I went in. And I knew in the back of my mind that if I'm not going to get this, I'm going to move to the States and I'm going to study in New York somewhere. That was my dream. And I go in to the first audition and it went well and I pass. And then I go into the second, which was like a 2-day workshop and with a bunch of teachers. And my state of being was, I'm not going to pass anyway. So I might as well just have fun, enjoy, because I really enjoyed the exercises that the teachers were giving us, like all these interesting acting assignments and stuff and creativeness that was coming out of me, because I was like, I got nothing here. Like, I'm not going to get this. So I might as well really enjoy this time I got with these amazing teachers in this amazing workshop in this amazing acting space. And I just really had fun knowing that maybe this will be the last time I get in touch with these people and I might as well have fun. And every time I passed the next level and the next level, I was like, ooh, cool, another opportunity for me to act. So, and then I passed. I was in shock. And I think some of the kids hated me there because I really didn't care. To the point where when I actually got in, the headmaster was like, well, you got in. What do you have to say? I'm like, cool. And you're like, you're not excited? I'm like, well, if I didn't, then I would have gone to New York. I'm like, well, you should go to New York. I'm like, no, if I got in, I'll stay. But it was interesting to me to realize, and I tried to redo that. And you can't redo that. You can't fake that state. Because every time I had later on in life, when I had like movie auditions or TV show auditions, I would try to project that being of, I don't care. You can't fake that. So there was something really magical that I remember in my experience of, I honestly don't care, not to the point where I'm disregarding it, but I'm just loving the space I'm in right now and enjoying these interactions. And I think that really made the difference, because every time I did something and I was stressed about it, I usually didn't get it. So that's just a small example to tell you how authenticity can really be a key to just having fun. It's really the key to being present and confident. And that eventually really creates the lasting success. And I'm sure you can think of tons of examples yourself that you were like, when I didn't care and I was just letting wisdom flow, sometimes in the being community or in 3 principles, we call it just wisdom. You let wisdom flow through you and things just fall into place. Miracles happen. Connections are made. So this type of presence really kind of brings out of you. It enhances your confidence level, your resilience. It's just you're just being more effective in whatever it is that you want to create. So it's not just a feel-good feeling. It's really about creating success and impact. So I hope you can see the full picture here, and we'll try to dive in a little bit on how to do it. But it's really a feeling. And you kind of do the homework beforehand, but then what can I relate it to? Swimming. Okay? So you do the hard work beforehand. You practice, you do the training. But when you're actually in the competition, you can't feel like you're training. You can't feel the effort. You have to let yourself be the fish in order to swim as smoothly as you can. So the same way it goes with authenticity. You can do the homework. You can do the practicality beforehand. But once you're out there in life, enjoying life, being life, life is lifing, you just have to trust that whoever you are is enough, and that will be the magnetic field that will come across. So let's go back to the homework a little bit, and what can you do to go and connect to your authentic self? So first and foremost, it's going to be about self-awareness. Like anything and everything that we talk about in this podcast, you have to know where you're starting in order to know where you're going. You have to have that GPS. You have to understand, like, who am I being? Like, why am I tense right now? So it could be a physical self-awareness. So if you're in a job audition and you're feeling like you're all tense, know that that comes across. You can't hide anything. People have the strongest bullshit radar. Okay? So, and again, it might not be like, oh, this person is tense and they're trying to fake it. No, it's just going to be like, I don't know, I'm getting this weird vibe off this person. So that could be as simple as that. And they'll just go with, oh, I'm getting this really good vibe off of this person. So just be aware of any situation that is tensing you up. And on the opposite side of the spectrum, just know who you are. So what are your core values? What are your good traits? What are your strengths? So take a few moments and ask yourself, what am I passionate about? What am I really good at? What do I care about? What are my non-negotiable values? So for me, it's about being light, having fun, and growth. Like if I'll read to you my core values, I have them written right here. I have leadership, excitement, and happiness. That's number 2 for me. Everything has got to be a little bit exciting. It's got to make me happy. Impact is number 3. Like I really want to make that difference. I really want to affect people's lives. It's really in my core. Like I'm all about helping people, whether paid or non-paid. But then number 4 is prosperity. Because for me, prosperity, it's not just about the financial aspect. It's about the proof. It's almost like the proven energy of my impact. So prosperity is connected with my impact. It's not just about inheriting lots of money. I want that prosperity to come from me, from that abundance that I created in my life through my impact, through my joy of serving. And the number 5, which is always, always, always a core value of mine has been, which is growth. Like growth to me is just the way I just love learning. I love learning and I love sharing what I learn. So leadership, excitement and happiness, impact, prosperity and growth. Wow, I've created these core values so long ago, and they're still there. Like I'm reading at them now. Like, yep, still right. I wouldn't change a thing. Well, maybe I would add like love and connection, but that's impact for me too. So, because we'll talk, maybe I'll prepare an episode. Tell me if you're interested about this, about how to go and find your core values. Yes, I will do that for you. How to find your core values. Maybe that's going to be the next one. So practicing self-awareness is the first one. And then reflecting, if you're in a that's the second step. If you're in a high stakes situation, if you're before a job interview, if you're before a stressful presentation, if you're about to start a new job and you want to prove yourself, just prepare. It's not just about showing up authentically. Be prepared, because it's kind of like that swimming guy in the competition. I don't know why he's a guy, but swimming competitor, because preparation makes us confident. Like I want to be prepared to anything I do. Even now I'm talking to you, and as much as I'm improvising, I have notes. So one of them is be prepared. So don't focus solely on performance. It's not just about how you deliver it, but it's about having the groundwork that you created, the roots. And once you have the roots, also know why you're here. So let's say you're going into the job interview. Be prepared, like know who you are, be prepared for those tough questions that they ask you, learn about the job and what you can give to the company. But also know why you're here. Also know what are the values that are leading you to find this position and what you can create from your core values into this position. So once we focus on the purpose that drives us forward, that just, again, it's an energy field. It's so powerful. It throws you back. It's so powerful. You're going to likely show up as genuine, passionate, exciting, interesting, and someone that people will want on their side. And again, this can be in a dating world, and it can be in the business world, and it can be in your personal growth world. It doesn't matter. If you care about something deeply, if you're passionate about it, that comes across. And that's exciting because people need that. And the last thing I'll say is vulnerability, right? We go back to Brené Brown's vulnerability. If you haven't seen that, watch it. Not being perfect. People don't want perfection. And it's really interesting because, again, in Amy Cuddy's book, she talked about a research that people that has been made, and I'm sorry that I don't remember like where and when and the format, but I just remember the essence of things. But in this research, people were asked, what do they like about other people? And there was like 2 different traits. So it's either warm and relatable or something like that, or impactful and smart, or charismatic and smart, or something like that. And people wanted other people to be warm and relatable. So hear this out. When they were asked, what do you prefer other people to be? Warm and relatable or charismatic and smart? And forgive me if it was something else, but it was around those lines. Like across the board, the majority wanted other people to be warm and relatable. Wouldn't you? Of course, because we like people to like us, and we like to like people, and we like people that are warm and relatable. But when they were asked, what do you want people to perceive of you? Everybody was like, I want to feel charismatic and smart. I want other people to see me as charismatic and smart. So isn't that interesting? We want to like people that are warm and relatable and have people that are warm and relatable around us, but we want people to see us as smart and charismatic. So this doesn't work. It doesn't work. So just know that when you're in a job interview, you're facing people. And people don't want the perfect person in front of them. They want someone who's warm and relatable. So don't try to be smart and charismatic. Try to be warm and relatable because that's what people like. Now, yes, you need to be prepared. Yes, you need to be the right person for the job, but you also need to be warm and relatable. And when people see you not being the perfect person, when people see you as wanting to know more because you're asking questions and you're able to show that, hey, I don't know, can you help me out? They feel a connection. They feel that you're trustworthy. You're not trying to be all that. You're more relatable this way. So just remember that people in front of you in any situation are people, and they want the same things that you care about. So allow yourself to be vulnerable. Allow yourself to not be as strong. You can be strong, but you don't have to show power. And strength is also relies in vulnerability. I guess I would say that the real key is just be as transparent as possible about where you are right now and embracing that. That's your true self. That's authentic. That's relatable. People like that. So I want to leave you with final thoughts. And my final thoughts to you are this. Authenticity is two things for me, the way I see it. A, it's about knowing who you are. And yet it's about practicing. Why? Why is it about practicing? You're like, hey, if I know who I'm me. If I'm me, why am I practicing? Because we're not us. We have been trained for so many years to not be our authentic self, that it's peeling the layers day in and day out, one situation after the other. It's peeling the layers and the armor that we created. So knowing who you are is about having the courage to go deep under the hood and understand who you are underneath and be willing to show that and share that. And that is sometimes not a very easy thing to do. So our goal is to continue aligning ourselves and trust. And I'm saying this to you just like I'm saying this to me. Trust that whoever I am, whatever I am, is enough. And it's very hard when we're surrounded by a world of social media where everything is perfect. People are just showing their best selves. Their best fake selves or their highest highlight moments. Be authentic. Trust that you're enough. Find your core values because that is what's going to hold you in the darker times, the harder times, when things don't go right, when you're not landing that job, when you're not succeeding in that assignment. Those times will come up. But once you have yourself and you go back to who you are, you have something to lean on. And that is so important. So go back to the questions of how can I show up a little bit more authentic? How can I be a little bit more courageous about who I am and show that? What is the one thing I can do to bring my true self out? Maybe it's speaking up. Maybe it's asking for help. Maybe it's sending that email to your boss saying, I have this idea, and maybe it'll suck. Maybe in your relationship, it's about saying, I love you, which you haven't. Maybe it's, putting that hand on her shoulder, which you haven't done in so many years. I don't know, but it's something about connecting to your true self and your true values, and your core values. They don't have to be exactly where you are right now. Let's say one of your core values is love and connection, but you don't see that in your life. How can you be love and connection every single day and create that to be part of your new, true, authentic self? Because we know what we want. We know what we value. We know what our core values are. So the more we dive into that world, this is really, really where the juicy stuff is. Because if you land that dream job and you're inauthentic, then you will be, for years or for however long you're there, you'll be there in fear, in terror that you'll be called out and that you're just an imposter over there, and
that's stressful, and that's where diseases come in and all that stuff. So if you're authentic and hey, maybe I didn't land it, but I really gave my all. I gave all of me, and I gave my all. And that's a really good feeling to go to bed with. So I hope you got some value of it. And I will tell you and ask of you to do what you do when podcasts you love are available for you. Share, comment, write a review, spread the word. That really helps me. And hey, I'm going to be authentic. It really makes me feel good. So I hope you enjoyed this. I really enjoyed doing this one. And let me know. And I'll see you next time. Bye for now.